Buenas and Hafide, Manana Sizu's.
Go ahead and get started.
The Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs continues this public hearing on the nominations put forward by E. Magahagan Guahan. Again, joining me for this public hearing, I'm very appreciative to have the Vice Chair, Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes to my left, and the Honorable Senator Therese Churlahi to my right, who are here with me today. The conduct of this public hearing shall be as follows. Those testifying will be recognized in the order that they appear on the sign-up sheet. Written testimony may be read. Lengthy written testimony should be summarized to about 3 to 5 minutes. Written testimonies shall be submitted to the committee, provided to our legislative staff so that they may be photocopying it. Testimony shall be confined to the substance at hand. Persons will be allowed to present oral testimony only once. Once you are done, you may be asked to remain in the room so that we may be asking questions or additional details as desired by the members of the panel. When you speak, please make sure that you have first turned the microphone on. There's a button there in the middle, and that you speak into the microphone. Please start by stating your name for the record. We will now begin hearing testimonies on the confirmation hearing of Ms. Rita T. Franquez to serve on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. We thank those that have come here this morning, and we thank you for sitting through some of the earlier parts of today's events. So let me go ahead and call forward. I will start by recognizing and calling forward Ms. Rita Franquez, Sijis Masi, for being here. And then we also want to recognize that the Executive Director for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority is here, Ms. Lacia Casil, and she is here in support. If you are planning on giving testimony, you can come sit forward as well. And then we also have the Research Director for Mark here, Mr. Carlos Madrid. So just Masi for being here as well. With this, let's go ahead and begin with the Executive Director, Ms. Lacia Casil. If you could begin your testimony, please.
Hafadades and Manana Suzuus. For the record, my name is Lacia Casil, and I am the Executive Director of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. Just want to first say thank you, Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes, Senator Marsh Taitano, and Senator Churlahi for allowing me to come in and show my support of Ms. Franquez here. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Ms. Franquez, and I can say that she is a walking and talking encyclopedia of Hagåtña. The historical references that she will be able to contribute to our commission is priceless. At 86 years young, having been born and raised in Hagåtña prior to the war, when it was a bustling city full of family homes, local businesses, and people that lived in barrios with their own local churches, and children were running up and down the street. She is able to provide the insight that textbooks will never be able to match. Being able to hear from her about our capital city firsthand and envision what she saw through her own eyes has touched my heart. We recently sat a few days ago, we were talking, and looking at a map, she pointed out to me where the neighborhood bakery was, where the local brewery was, where Ada's soap factory and other local businesses were. And these are the type of businesses that we want back in Hagåtña, local businesses run by local people, not big box retail. We don't want a Ross in Hagåtña. Hearing about her life in the barrios as a child, hustling bottles of aquagente. It's a new word I learned from her the other day. To survive through the Japanese occupation was astonishing to me. So I believe that having Ms. Franquez is important to what we need to fulfill the Hagåtña Restoration's mission of reestablishing Hagåtña as the capital city of Guam and the governmental, cultural, and commercial heart of the island, supported, and this is important, by vibrant residential mixed-use areas. Si Ju'us Masi.
Si Ju'us Masi for that very informative and helpful testimony. And now we'll hear from Ms. Franquez herself.
Si Ju'us Masi. Guahu Sarita Torres Franquez. Mafanyagun Hagåtña zu, Hagas Tauto Hagåtña zu, Zam imanyay naho, disti antes di finatun Español, Japanese, Zani Americano. Pues, don't lugar na privilégio e para fatu gunita by espia, Ichan saku babay membro gi Hagåtña Revitalization and Reorganization Authority, and I stress authority for reasons that I shall explain later. But corazon ho, janunina laho, gaigi guini giza Hagåtña. My life is here in Hagåtña. My heart and my livelihood is intricately involved with the development and the grandeur that should be for Hagåtña. So with that kind of introduction, I would like to present myself as seeking membership in the privilege of being in this organization. Thank you. I have many plans. I have many projects that I wish could be done, but the challenge and the budget and the authority must be there too. Thank you.
Si Ju'us Ma'asi. It's very heartwarming to hear about the experiences you had growing up in Hagåtña and that indeed your heart is still here. I will turn it over to the speaker as vice chair to see if she has comments or questions for you.
Si Ju'us Masi, Madam Chair, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide a comment. I've known Auntie Rita for many, many years, and I just want to say that with not just her institutional knowledge, but her love for the island and her people, and for those in the listening since World War II, and paying special recognition to those who suffered the atrocities of World War II, more importantly, those who died, and making sure that that was never forgotten. She helped us get property for the government of Guam so that a monument could be built, which is where the Menengan concentration camp is at. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share that it was through Auntie Rita's tenacity, but her big heart to make sure and never give up on why our people of Guam continue the need to be recognized for all that they've done, and just the respect that she continues to provide in as far as information for our community and those who visit us, and the invitations as extended. And we talk about the war forgiveness wiping away the tears of wars, but we should never forget, as stated on our monument, Auntie Rita will definitely bring a very I would say the blood and the lineage of who we are and where this, how this village started and how this was the mainstay of our island, as it is the capital of our island, how she would bring a big plus to the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Board. And Madam Chair, I will say that through our working experience in the more than 18 years together. I want to say Undangkul na si Diyos Masi for showing me and helping me lead the way as it pertains to the preservation and the advocation and the perpetuation of who we are as island people. So she's got my support, and I know she knows a lot and has no reservations about sharing a lot of our ideas and what we could do for Hagåtña revitalization. So, si Diyos Masi, Auntie Rita and Nyora, thank you for volunteering, and thank you to the governor, Imagahaga, for bringing your appointment to be a part of this committee, this redevelopment authority as one of their board members. You got my support. Sana Masi.
Dangkulu estina privilegio para guau lukui. Adzi maningun sen husen goija duna project. Itautauta. Tot tempo itautauta dran itanota. Finitnina dran utum.
Sejus Maasi. I will now see if Senator Therese Terlahi has some comments or questions.
Sejus Maasi, Saina. I appreciate what you bring to this commission or authority, and it's commission, right? The Hagåtña Restoration Revitalization Authority. I think you've been a landowner in Hagåtña. You've lived there, but you're also a current landowner, a current business owner in Hagåtña. And I think that's going to ensure that on the board we have the property owners in Hagåtña being treated fairly. I know there may be different interests. Of course, there will always be that competing interests of which project is prioritized over the other, which area of Hagåtña, do they start with, and so, I know that all the landowners who are not on the board are looking to the board members for fairness and in that regard, and I know that the director, they have big plans for the board, and they're looking to, by law, they're entitled to take taxes on improvements in Hagåtña and dedicate those to the Hagåtña Restoration and Revitalization Authority for its use. And we're looking to you also for sensitivity in that regard, that these are, taxes that are coming out of other areas of the government of Guam and taxpayers, and that they are going to be used wisely, fairly, and, in the priorities as you see fit. And I know you have dreams of Hagåtña. We all do. This is what the authority was created for, to be, revitalized, to have more people living there and sharing in business, and people being able to live among this historic businesses and historic districts and historic and just each other, right? To feel that, I'm sure that's what you miss about it. It's like now everybody's almost a little isolated, but I appreciate what you're going to bring to this board, and I'm thanking you for the time you're going to spend on it. I know that they're going to be putting in some hard time. The projects are technical, they're huge, and they're going to require a lot of work, a lot of study, and a lot of deliberation. So, Sidzus Masi.
Hagas tauto Hagåtña zu imanay naho disti antes di ufan batu I Espanyol.
Again.
It's Japanese, the Americano. The ola look is a Stefan Sigya mo na in North Korea. Anyway, it's a privilege. It's a privilege, and I come from a long line of descendants from Hagåtña. My ancestry is Chamorro. And sometimes I think I am from the city of Hurao, one of the greatest leaders of Chamorro indigenous rights, history, and fighter for Chamorro. So, with all that in my background, I humbly seek to be part of the continuing development of the grandeur that I hope Hagåtña will be as the capital of not only Guam, but the area. And we have to restore what was there before. Agana is an amazing, fantastic city. If you know the intricacies of this land, that we were from a peaceful Pacific Islanders immediately transposed into a European colonial powers with colonizers and great powers of the world fighting for control of land and basic trade routes. We are in a crucial area. North and south, we are in the middle. East and west, we're in the middle. No wonder North Korea says, okay, we could always get Guam. We can't get to the United States, but we can get Guam. So this land is historic and absolutely amazing, worth protecting and fighting for. And it should start with what should be the capital of this great land. It should be the capital for the government and for residences. Manufacturing should not be here. I would like to see all the aesthetic parts of a city, the museums, the government, the agencies, to be located here, the source of power to be here. And I emphasize authority in HRRA, authority, because it's going to need the budget and the authority to do something. If we do not have the money to do anything, and we do not have the power or the authority to do anything, why bother? So we need those. We need the budget and the authority and the foresight and the desire to make this the greatest city comparable to anywhere else in the world.
Sujos Masi for that. You know, as a fellow historian, it's wonderful to hear of your experiences growing up here, the dream of, you know, with the authority it's this balance of revitalizing but also developing. And I think with your qualifications and your experiences, you are this excellent balance of both. You bring both to the table. And so for me as a historian, that part of me, it's very excited about that part of seeing both of those going forward, that we're going to be continuing to build on the path that we're currently on, that we are seeing revitalization occur. We are seeing people walking around our city again. We are seeing different activities happening here that are creating a liveliness. Some of what I've also been blessed to see is that we're also seeing some of our native species coming back to Hagatnya. We're seeing some of the birds like the sali landing in our trees again. So there's just so much good work that can be happening to bring about that revitalization. And certainly with your experiences of having grown up here and seen it in just years that most of us can only read about or hear about from others, for you to have that direct experience is going to be such a valuable font of information for all of us, as the executive director was saying. And the fact that we can capitalize on that, I think, is going to be so important, that we're striving to create that balance between showcasing those wonderful aspects along with reimagining the ways that we can be developing as we're moving forward, and keeping that, that strong focus on what it has been, but what it has the ability to be as well. You mentioned several things that were good to hear. Part of what you mentioned is having plans and projects. And so in speaking on your own and in response to the senators up here, you've already talked about some of your vision.
Okay.
But do you have particular plans or projects that you'd like to share beyond that before we finish for today?
Yes, I do. But let me reemphasize before I forget, the authority is important, because there are many agencies that want to have the determining view of what should be done with Agana. No, I think that the authorities has to be just that. Of course, I respect the governor, the legislature, and the judiciary to be the overriding authority. But I don't think that any agency should have the purview of what is to be determined in the plans for Hagatna. They should concentrate their work on public works and road development and utilities. But it is not within the purview, I don't believe, to be in the interest, in the agencies of the different agencies, public works, road construction, land management, and all that. I think the real authority should be on the board first. Of course, governor, legislature, and judiciary. But the board has to. And as far as my project, one of my earliest ones, and it doesn't mean take any money, one-way streets. If you try to go on the side roads, you will find that if there's cars parked on both sides, that whole block, you'd have to look at the other end of the block to see whether somebody's coming because you're going to be stuck. So it's not going to cost anything, but it will take the planning, the division of public works and land management. It doesn't take budget, but it does take foresight and work. The next one is to clean up Hagatna. And that is 2 words, clean up Hagatna. But there's no way around it. It is so junky and a seedy-looking area, so many places. We should get rid of containers that are housing rats and insects and totally abandon. Clean up Hagatna. The next one is strict zoning. Manufacturing should not be done in Hagatna. That's why you have that Upper Tuman project, you know, that area for development of industry. That should be the place for manufacturing. Manufacturing should not be allowed in Hagatna. Okay, the next one is we need to have a real budget because you can build, and I know this for a fact, a lot of times agencies have buses and trucks and buildings and they let it get dilapidated and get worthless. They run the trucks and the buses until they don't filter it with oil or maintenance, and then they run it to the ground, useless, where it could have been saved with proper maintenance. I think that we have to have a budget that includes maintenance and upkeep of whatever it is that we have deemed to build. Budget, maintenance. I remember when there used to be a beautiful fountain in Skinner Plaza. Oh, it had lights and water sprays. In the evenings, I would just walk half a block away from my house, take my daughter, and we'd look at the lights at night. But then they let it get ruined, when all they would have had to do is probably 5 gallons of vinegar once a month would get rid of the calcium deposits. But what they did was they filled it in. Lowest possible option. They filled it in and covered it up and nothing, where it was once beautiful and fascinating. So maintenance is important. Appreciating what you have, no matter how little it might be, if it's some pleasure, preserve it. And so there are lots of things that I think budget and authority are crucial to this agency. If you don't have the authority, forget it. If you don't have the budget, also forget it. So it goes hand in hand. It's going to be a lot of challenge and hard work, and maybe it may have to even step on toes or ruffle feathers, but it has to be done, because nothing is going to be done that is not challenging or worthwhile or worth fighting for or because it is easy. It is not easy. It's very difficult. And you have to have focus and deliberation and determination that it must be so. It must be done until you just finally have to say, okay, I give up. So, determination, focus, hard work, authority, and money, money, money. Not the most important, but definitely crucial.
You know, you brought up several good points. And so in this both revitalization and redevelopment of Hagåtña, it's something, as you were saying, that it's something for Hagåtña, but it's more than that. It's something for the entire island and maybe even beyond. And in that way, I think it's very good that part of the way that the board is set up, there are ex officio members that will be able to give that technical expertise. So, and some of the things that you're mentioning.
Definitely. Right,
they're going to be able to be sitting there and providing information or guidance about the Department of Parks and Rec. So I'll just read some of the members. The Micronesian Area Research Center has a membership as ex officio members, the Chamorro Language Commission, the Guam Visitors Bureau, the Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disabilities. So again, that some of those speak into the planning that are so key. The Department of Land Management, the Department of Public Works, the Guam Environmental Protection Agency, and the Guam Preservation Trust. And so they'll be there to provide the technical assistance that's so needed, so that we're thinking for Hagåtña, but we're also thinking for all of us and providing that expertise that will allow board members to be making sound decisions, be able to understand the planning that's necessary. So, yes.
Yeah, cooperation of all those agencies is needed to take care of the homeless, for one. That's one homeless, you say it, and it's a huge problem. Can you imagine the Chamorro village, the way it is now? Let's see the Fisherman's Wharf. Figure like San Francisco, the Fisherman's Wharf. We could have it right next to the Chamorro village. And what a perfect place for a Fisherman's Wharf, similar to what you'd have in San Francisco, with the Chamorro village there and the Paseo. It has all the ingredients for a real functional center for activity and cultural exploration. It could function still. The boat building industry is there too. We could still have that. So the possibilities are endless. But we mentioned EPA and all those social services to take care of the homeless, to take care of the garbage, and a functioning commissioner's office. The commissioner has not as much to do probably as some of the big cities like Dedido and Jigo and other bigger cities than Hagåtña. So it could devote its time to looking around and seeing that there's compliance, like sidewalks, that would be crucial. Setbacks, some of the companies are right up to the road and use the road as parking lots for there's nowhere to go. So the commissioner can go and make sure that there's setbacks for sidewalks. So we can go out, have a walkway heritage walk. So we can appreciate the city within walking distance. There's a lot to learn about Hagåtña, but you can't get there because it's too full of junk. So cleanup is crucial. One-way streets would be great, and it isn't going to cost a fortune. But cleanup and a functioning commissioner's office to see compliance, that when they hook up a container to the utilities, it is properly done. And no container should function as a building. I mean, if it's a container, especially if it's abandoned, it should be gotten rid of. I think the legislature still has 3 containers in the old legislative lot. It's rotting away, and you probably don't have room for all the old records that are there, but those records are being eaten by rats and insects, and the mildew, of course. So clean up. I mean, if it is useless, get rid of it, including the legislature's 3 containers in the old God. I think that belongs to the legislature, but I think the Agana Commissioner is using it to store junk. Anyway, there's a lot to do. You could ramble on, and it's not going to be overnight or final, but it's a good start. And HRRA is pronounced hurrah. Yay. It's about time. Right? HRRA, hurrah. Hurrah. It's
there,
time.
see, you've got your good media spin right there, right? Yeah, I think that's going to be maybe something that we're going to be continuing to hear more about from the HRA development. And before we close and move on to the next confirmation hearing, I just want to say, and I can be corrected up here because I don't know the exact status of it, but the good news is that we have been having a digitization project this year. And so with the archives that are in those containers, we have, I believe it's completed, we've digitized those. And then the next stage will be, as you say, figuring out what to do with the actual hard copies. But I wanted to mention that. So is there anybody left here who has not yet testified and wishes to testify? There being none, the committee will conclude the public hearing for the confirmation hearing of Ms. Rita T. Franquez to serve on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. And I just want to mention that for this and other events that are happening in today's public hearing, the committee will continue to receive testimonies for the next few days. Please address your written testimony to the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs, and submit it via email to office.senatorkelly@gmail.com. Excuse me, let me correct that. office.senatorkelly@theguamlegislature.org. And, or they can be delivered as hard copies to the Guam Congress Building at 163 Chalan Santo Papa, Hagåtña, Guam 96910. So again, Sizuis Maasi for coming, Ms. Franquez, and providing your testimony and a few of your thoughts about how you'd like to see the authority move forward. And we will now move on to our next.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for this great opportunity and privilege. Hurrah.
Hoorah. We will now move on to the confirmation hearing of Maria Eugenia Leon Guerrero. So we will begin hearing testimonies on the confirmation hearing of Ms. Maria Eugenia Leon Guerrero to serve on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. There have been several people that have signed up to provide support, and for those that would like to give testimony, I'll read the ones that have marked off that they are providing testimony. So we have the Executive Director of the Authority, Ms. Lacia who is providing oral testimony, Ms. Maria Leon Guerrero, who will be providing her testimony. Where did I put my? John Regis, thank you. John Regis Jr., who is here in support, and German Nuestro, who is here in support as well. So those that want to provide testimony, if there's anybody else. Okay, so we'll go ahead and begin with the Executive Director, Ms. Lacia Casil.
Thank you. Hafaday, thank you again, Speaker, Senator Marsh, Taitano, and Senator Terlahi. Again, for the record, my name is Lacia Casil, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. I'm here to speak in support of the confirmation of Ms. Maria Eugenio Leon Guerrero as Chairwoman to the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Commission. As some of you know, that Ms. Leon Guerrero's father served on the first board of the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Corporation, which evolved into what is now the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. I believe the speaker was worked on that as well. She's an executive VP at the Bank of Guam, having worked with many local businesses that we want to see come to Hagatna. And she's served on many community organizations, including chair of the Guam Foundation for Public Education, treasurer of the Sanctuary, treasurer of the Rotary Club of Tumon Bay, and the Finlalai and Oral History Project. Also, as a current member of the Guam Young Professionals and having studied overseas in Seattle, she brings a fresh young perspective, I think, that will be a breath of fresh air to this growing agency. I met Ms. Leon Guerrero on the campaign trail last year, and we've spoken about the HRRA. And I know that she shares the same vision as her father in revitalizing our capital while at the same time protecting and promoting our culture. I look forward to working with her and Ms. Franquez on the commission and the combined contributions of these two Metgot Famalawan from different generations contributing to our commission moving forward. Sijus Masi.
Sijus Masi for that. And let me just make sure that I'm staying on top of this. So next, if we can be hearing from, is it Ms. Leslie Leon Guerrero?
Good morning. Hafaday and good morning. My name is Leslie Leon Guerrero, Vice President and Director of Customer Experience for Bank of Guam. I'm here today to offer this testimony in support of Ms. Maria Eugenio Leon Guerrero to serve as the Chairwoman of the Board of Commissioners for the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. I have known Maria both personally and professionally for over 10 years now. During this time, I have experienced firsthand the passion she brings to the projects she undertakes, and I don't expect anything less from her as she dives deep into this endeavor. As a professional, I know Maria to be fair, tactful in her approach, and dedicated to completing tasks in their entirety. This oftentimes calls for expanding our thought processes, putting in a few extra hours at the end of a long day, or fighting for a decision that goes against the grain of what historically has always been done. Her fearlessness and drive to do things better, smarter, and in a way that carries the true spirit of why we are in business is what makes her special, and always carries the true spirit of why we are in business and is what makes her special and is synonymous with the type of dedication she will bring to her work with the authority. As I watched the videos of Imagine Hagatna and viewed the pictures of what a revived Hagatna would look like, I was excited. Excited for the authority, excited for the beautiful, culturally rich spaces that all of our people will soon be able to enjoy, but most excited by the fact that I know all of this can be realized. Carrying cultural, historical, and economic significance, this undertaking is so important for our people, and I am confident in Maria's ability to see this vision through. Her work at Bank of Guam has spanned across the entire organization, touching almost every aspect of its operations. Her experience in project management will definitely be a major benefit to her sitting on this board. The organization, the thought process that dives deep into requirements, deliverables, and costs, and the focus on the people's experience will all become working assets that she will bring to ensure the success of the authority's vision. Her work in overseeing the bank's network of branches lends to her experience in controlling costs, multitasking, and inspiring hundreds of people. This too is key in rallying the troops in support of this cause, in convincing investors to pledge and invest their money here, and in seeking out new talent and resources necessary to build the culturally rich and dynamic capital our island so deserves. Over the past few years, I've witnessed her growth as a leader and a mentor as well. I'm not sure if it was her rising position at work or the fact that a little angel named Tao flipped her world upside down. Either way, she's adjusted well as both a leader and a mother, and it shows. There's a special grace only mothers possess, a gentleness that we all can appreciate. They're strict when they need to be, forgiving, compassionate, generous, but always fair. I've seen all of these in Maria. The compassion she shares with our people and the dedication she brings to the work she does, not just within the bank, but in the community, is inspiring. Through her work with various nonprofits, like Sanctuary and the Foundation for Public Education, she brings balance to her life, one that to me seems set to continue the legacies of her father and grandfather, and I think she's been doing an amazing job at it. As a friend, I see a light in her when she represents the organization through speeches, check presentations, and photo ops, a sense of pride that, hey dad, if only you can see me now kind of pride. As an employee, I am inspired by her commitment every day and the confidence that unfolds as a result of it. I can go on and on about this amazing person, but I'll conclude with just saying that a vision, intelligence, and dedication to understanding the full picture of what is needed to rebuild, restore, and revitalize Hagåtña, Maria is your girl. She will dig deep, ask many questions, seek out alternative solutions, ensure you spend responsibly, and always fight for the best deal. She's a master negotiator. I absolutely believe in her commitment to bring Hagåtña back to its true reign as our island's capital, and humbly ask that she join me in support of her nomination. Thank you.
Siduos Maasi for that, for your testimony. And now we'll hear from Miss Maria Leon Guerrero herself.
Sorry, I'm going green with my testimony. Okay. Buenas and Hafide Senator Marsh Taitano, as well as the other honorable members of the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs. Siduos Maasi for the opportunity to speak before you today as our Magat Haga's appointee to serve as the chair on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. I welcome this opportunity to serve our people, and I believe that I can leverage my competencies and experience to advance the mission of this important organization. I have been with Bank of Guam since 2009, currently serving as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. My expertise is in banking, finance, strategic planning, and project management. But far more important than my background, I believe, are the reasons why I have decided to respond to this call to serve. Bank of Guam has been a corporate resident of Hagåtña since we opened our doors in 1972. And in 1990, we doubled down on our commitment to Hagåtña when we opened our 10-story headquarters building. The bank, alongside all the other businesses and residents that call Hagåtña their home, is a key stakeholder, and therefore, fully invested in seeing this area develop and thrive. It is also very special and moving to me that both my grandfather, Jesus Leon Guerrero, and my father, Anthony Leon Guerrero, served as board members for the authority in one iteration or another. They recognize the value in supporting this effort, and so do I. In 2016, Guam hosted the Festival of Pacific Arts. Those of us who were there witnessed the capital city of Hagåtña come alive for 2 weeks with pedestrians, music, food, dancing, and commerce. Our sparse and sleepy capital was transformed into a vibrant community, seemingly overnight. We got a glimpse of what Hagåtña could be given the right conditions. FESPAC also served as a reminder of Guam's deep and rich history. It was a catalyst for our cultural renaissance and a call to action for the next generation of leaders to develop authentic cultural experiences for our visitors, to contrast with the hotels and luxury shopping arcades of Tumon Bay. Senators, we have before us a unique opportunity to thoughtfully plan an urban community that is socially, environmentally, culturally, and financially sustainable. It will require leadership. It will require engagement of all the stakeholders. It will require open-mindedness, analysis, debate, and compromise. But in the end, the restoration and redevelopment of our beloved capital city is a priceless endeavor and one that will benefit our island and our people for generations to come. If confirmed as a chair for the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority, my objective will be to carry out the task in a manner that maximizes the potential of our limited resources, that is environmentally responsible, that preserves the integrity of our culturally and historically significant assets, and most importantly, that strives to make Hagåtña an exciting place to live, work, and play. Sidus Masi for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I hope for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Sidus Masi for that. I'll go ahead and start with the Vice Chair of my committee, Speaker Munya Barnes.
Sidus Masi, Madam Chair, again for giving me the opportunity to rise and speak in support of Mrs. Maria Ueña. Just for the mere fact of you coming home, I want to say Undunkulun Sidus Masi for never forgetting where your roots are and literally stepping up to the plate where your grandfather has literally laid the blueprints and the pathway for a journey to revitalize Hagåtña and his desire to, as Hagåtña being a part of their home, and you guys being here in as far as our bringing back to the roots. Bank of Guam has been around for over 40, I want to say 47 years, right? And just being a local bank, I want to say Undunkulun Sidus Masi. I see Kin and a lot of the members from Bank of Guam here. Thank you for being here on behalf of Maria, but more importantly, thank you for stepping up to the plate to volunteer as it is coming from the heart and working closely with the other members from Hagåtña Restoration and Revitalization. I want to say that in all the years that in the former years that I was the oversight chair for this authority, I want to say it's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful authority for our government agencies. And you guys have a lot of big shoes to fill, but I know that with your expertise, I know that with your love and desire for our island of Guam, for our capital of Hagåtña, that you guys will do an excellent job. So I want to tell the Madam Chair that I support Ms. Leon Guerrero, and I want to say Undunkulun Sidus Masi for giving your time to this very important authority. Sana Masi.
Sidus Masi, Speaker. I would also like to next ask the Honorable Senator Therese Terlahi.
Buenas, Sidus Masi, for your testimony to the two women here. Very good testimony. I appreciate it, especially the director, your vision, and you having worked with Maria Eugenia for years. So, and as to our nominee, her future chairperson of this Hagåtña Restoration and Revitalization Authority, I commend you for your testimony. I'm glad that you pointed out the things that you did. Our generation was not privileged to grow up in Hagåtña. Like we just heard testimony from Rita Franquez. She's also going to be a member of this board, and she grew up there. So, and our parents did. So we've heard from them secondhand, and but for us, it's kind of secondhand information, and we're going to hear it from other people. But I appreciate that you point out that the need for the balance of all the different interests, you know, business and culture, especially in your reference to FESPAC, I very much appreciate. I share the same sentiment that gave us in our generations a glimpse of the possibilities for Hagåtña and the feeling that it really brought with us. It wasn't just a business, it was a feeling of community, right? And arts were prospering and business was prospering, music was prospering. It was a great time, and that we were walking. And I always laugh about that because I worked in Hagåtña all my life. I don't walk very much, right? That was a reason to walk, and it really made us appreciate more when you're walking what you can see, how you can interact, and so I'm looking forward to Hagåtña with a lot more interaction with all of us who are working and playing here, like you said. I also pointed out to the last nominee that, well, first of all, I have no doubts on your capabilities or your leadership for this board. I'm thankful that you're willing to do this. We are just looking to this board for fairness for all the Hagåtña landowners. I know that the projects, there's so many projects. They're huge projects, they're technical projects. Some of them are, you know, projects that we don't have expertise in. For example, floodplain management. That's, I think, the number one that you've got to resolve. But all the projects planned for Hagåtña, that, you know, you prioritize those and always keep in mind fairness to all the Hagåtña landowners. Some of them are small, some of them are big, but, you know, some of them actually do live here, and we always have to keep all of their long-term interests in mind. And again, this board, like one of the speakers said, it's a very powerful board. I think it's powerful because it by statute taxes have been dedicated to this board. And so they're supposedly able to use taxes from improvements on Hagåtña properties, which are significant for their restoration and redevelopment projects. And some of the goals were to bring in, you know, more people to live here. But the use of taxes, I just think I want the Restoration Board to be sensitive to where these are coming from. These are coming from taxpayers. We are still struggling with the government that, you know, that needs taxes for critical services. And so we just want to ensure that you will continue with your leadership to ensure that this taxpayers' money now is going to be used as with the priorities that you've really debated. Make sure that that's going to serve our community, and that they're going to be used with the sensitivity as to where they're really coming from and what we're sacrificing to do this, and that they're going to be used as, you know, as well as you can. And so I'm glad they put someone with your capabilities on there. So I'm looking forward to that. Sejos Masi.
Sejos Masi, Senator. So I want to build on some of the comments that have been put forth so far. And again, I also want to say that it was very good to hear about the ways that FESPAC impacted you. I think a lot of us, myself included, were very excited to see the city be revitalized, at least for that period of time. And I think we've seen some slow movement towards that. That it's been this growing momentum, and we are seeing the evenings, Wednesday nights and other nights, that we are seeing more people walking around and participating in a variety of events. So those are, I think, are all good signs, and they're all helping us envision where we can be going. So I think it stops in the older days, when somebody was walking around Hagåtña, sometimes people would pull over and ask what was wrong, like, why are you walking around Hagåtña? Did your car break down? But now we're seeing a whole lot of good reasons to be walking around Hagåtña, and we're no longer having people stopping us and asking, like, why we're bothering to walk around Hagåtña. So, but the other part of that really meant a lot to me was seeing the cultural revitalization, that aspect of the Festpak, and seeing that that needs to be part of how we are continuing to build as we're revitalizing but also developing, that it's very much rooted in that sense. Hagåtña has so many layers. Ms. Francas had spoken of some of them, and we don't know the exact time that it dates back to, but there's likely 3,500 years of history here. Those pre-Laddie years, we've found pre-Laddie pottery here, and this speaks to a very long, rich history. And so I believe that we're all looking forward to seeing those different layers come forward, that we're celebrating and embracing all of Hagåtña. As Ms. Franco was mentioning, this is the home of Aprill. And so, it was a place that he was known to have rallied together people. And so these are the sort of things that there's ample opportunity to be bringing these elements forward along with the other elements that are Hagåtña. One of the technical aspects that I'm looking forward to the authority in tackling is just seeing if, since it has been in the works for a long period of time, and there have been these changes and these understandings now about climate change and sea level rise, of just making sure that that consideration is there. I mean, along with the flood zone, that needs to be a consideration. If the sea is going to be rising 3 feet or more, like, what does that entail for Hagåtña? And there are always solutions, but just making sure. And that's where I think a lot of people are going to come in really well in the authority of thinking ahead, making sure that those plans are in place so that while the development is going on and the envisioning, that we have the plans in place to make sure that we've taken care of the floodplain and we've taken care of the sea level rise and so forth. So with that, one of the questions that I have is, in the way that you're looking at the authority and the board members, are there certain expertise that you're hoping comes on board as part of the board? And perhaps if you also have recommendations of ways that we could be expanding those technical experts that will also be contributing to the board?
So I had when I met with Lasia, she did give me a cursory look at some of the other board members that were on there, and I think there's a good mix of people. I love that Rita is there. I've known her for a long time, and I think she brings a lot to the table. Carlos, and I forget who else was on there, but there was a pretty diverse group. I'm not too familiar with the expertise of, other than Carlos and Rita, what the others may bring, but I mean, I would hope that that we would solicit expertise in just environmental protection and those types of issues. The vision that I saw, it is inspiring, and I would just want to make sure that everything that we do takes our natural environment into account, that we're working with our resources and not fighting against them to make Hagåtña into something that it's not. I think I agree with you. I think that there are so many layers of Hagåtña, so many layers of history that have been buried and that have the opportunity to reemerge and be showcased, and I think we should honor all of that. And thank you, Senator Terlahi, for mentioning the being sensitive to the landowners, because absolutely they live here, so we can't just bulldoze over them and not consider them. That's not right. So I would think, what I don't have, everything that our board members don't have, we need to bring in. I'm not trying to be I'm not an expert in environmental issues or civic planning, and so this is where I feel like we need the help. And I'm sure that there are a myriad of agencies that need to get involved and weigh in on this. This is huge. Of course, it's going to be in phases, but nonetheless, it's going to be a very cross-functional effort. I'm fully expecting that. So, yeah, I think those are the types of expertise that we need: urban design, architecture, utilities, management. All areas that I'm not familiar with, but I'm committed to working with the experts and coming up with solutions that are equitable and sustainable.
Sejus Masi for that. You mentioned a lot of very important types of expertise to be availing, having the board avail itself of. The environmental protection is very important. With Hagåtña being a city and village for so long, and the center for a lot of colonial administration, amongst other things. The landscape of it has changed so much, but there are important features that are still there. And so it's very good to hear that the board is going to be working towards keeping as much of that is truly representative of Hagåtña and the lives that have been here over the generations, to have that in place, as well as some of the other expertise that you mentioned. And so I want to be working with the board, and I think all of our committee members do, to be seeing how we can be continuing to support and helping you get the expertise that you need to be able to have as informed an approach as possible. Both you and Ms. Francas have some background in financing, development, working with other businesses, which I think will serve us all very well. And we had talked a bit about the budget and so forth, and as Senator Terlahi has mentioned, that there is money in the law that is set aside or has the potential to be set aside to provide budgeting. But are there other ways that you're looking at developing so that it's bringing in these different opportunities from elsewhere, and not just necessarily that one stream, but bringing in other streams or partnerships that you'd like to speak on?
I was reading some articles about the authority, and I came across a blurb that said that parking was one of the main concerns that were brought up, I guess, during the stakeholder feedback, and how people were talking about how they wanted parking to be abundant and free. And I guess I have a certain view on that, and I feel that we have too many cars on our island, and I feel that if the objective is to make a community that is pedestrian friendly, that is walkable and sustainable, that we need to make sure that we do have facilities available for people to come to the capital and enjoy it, but having a car takes a toll on our island, and I feel that there needs to be some kind of way to sustain that. And so I'm not sure how I feel about the whole free parking thing. But I think that there are some opportunities to maybe generate some revenues there that could sustain our community and keep it in a beautiful condition. Because as lawmakers, you know that is not an easy thing to do, and that's not something that's free. And so my thoughts are that, you know, whether it's the public services we provide or attracting local entrepreneurs, is that we need to keep in mind those revenue generating opportunities so that we keep the common areas beautiful and clean. So just some thoughts.
Gof Malik. And both Senator Terlahi and I have been at the Center for Island Sustainability Conference that's ongoing right now. And so the good news is that the Utilities Commission is promoting electric cars and looking at things like electric buses, and there's a possibility of electric trolleys. So that may be something that they're an ex officio member, I believe, of the board. So that could be something that fits in with some of what you're looking at and is more forward thinking and addressing some of the issues that you're talking about there. So I think those are really the majority of the things that I wanted to ask. I guess maybe the last thing would be that sometimes with boards, attendance has been an issue. So as we're going through this nomination process, we're just, I guess, encouraging all the members and looking for people that are really serious about dedicating their time, and we're very appreciative of the time that people will be dedicating towards this, but we're hoping for, of course, a board that continues to be able to meet regularly, because it is a very big task that you all have ahead of you. So I do thank you in advance for time that you're going to be putting forward to it. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of long hours associated with this. I just want to check to see if Senator Terlahi has any other comments. So with that, if there is anybody else here that has any testimony? There being none, the committee will conclude the public hearing for the confirmation hearing of Maria Eugenia Leon Guerrero to serve on the Board of Commissioners for the Hagatna Revitalization and Redevelopment Authority. So I just want to put out the reminder again that for any of the confirmation hearings, whether it's Ms. Ina Carrillo or Ms. Rita Franquez or Ms. Maria Leon Guerrero, that we are continuing to receive testimonies over the next few days. Please address your written testimony to the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagatna Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs, and submit it via email to office.senatorkelly@theguamlegislature.org, or you can have it delivered to the Guam Congress Building, 163 Chalan Santo Papa, Hagatna, Guam 96910. Sidzus Maasi for everybody who came out today, for your attendance, your participation, and all of the thought that you put into this. The time is now 11:10, let's say. Sidzus Maasi.